Good morning, Mordale. Today, we shall be hearing from a sexual health expert.
How did sex education, the first season, change your life?
How did it change my life? Oh, big question. Well, I mean, I made a lot of new friends. I think that's probably the biggest thing, meeting all these people. Not just the cast, the lovely cast, but all of the crew members, the director, Ben, and the producers. We're all now really close, which is nice. So one of the nicest parts about my job is that you get to meet new people and spend a lot of time with them and form these relationships. And then the show was a huge success, which is all you can really want.
It changed it a lot, and it can be slightly overwhelming, but in the long run I think it's made me a way more honest and braver human. Like, I'm willing to be a lot more vulnerable a lot more of the time, and I think that's just the themes of the show do start to kind of, like, you absorb them, and I think all of us have changed quite a lot, but for the better.
When the show first came out, it was so, like, sensational, and in the space of like 48 hours, it was, because at the time, I was unemployed and just sort of not doing very much. I was very much in my house watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Good life.
Yeah, like in my underwear, eating cereal, and nothing, like everything kind of very much was the same. And then just on my phone was just blowing up with all the, and then you put your phone away and you're just there in your pants eating cereal again.
Yeah.
So why do you think that sex education became so big?
I think it came at quite a good time. I think people wanted to see a show like this. It was a show which talked about sex and teenage lives, and it didn't do it in a kind of grotesque way. It was very kind of honest and relatable and awkward and funny and heartfelt, and all the characters as well as this. Not only was it funny, but the characters felt kind of alive and really real, and I think that's it's rare.
Because I think it makes people feel less alone. I think because the time and place is so ambiguous and it kind of takes place in its own world, I think it actually makes it easier for everyone to access it and relate to it, because it doesn't cater for just one person, and there's going to be a character who resonates with you. And I feel like everyone, no matter what the age or who you are, there'll be someone in the show that you go, oh, that's me, and I feel seen. So I think it's just, and it's opened up dialogues that weren't being had. Like, people talk. I hear young people using the show as a way to talk about things that they've wanted to talk about for a while. So yeah, I think it's comforting and it's fun.
Because it's so honest, I think. It's so human. Like, we often, shows that have a central focus on sex, there's a tendency to glamorize it, to sexualize it, especially when it's to do with young people, but we're not doing, there's none of that in this show, and it's very honest, and all the characters are, even though you are initially presented with these kind of stereotypes or like these typical tropes that we see so often, the show is very good at breaking them down and presenting you with real human people with real issues and real characteristic, and it's just very
refreshing.
Yeah, thank you, honey.
Yeah, and I think necessary as well right now.
Yeah,
I think everyone's wanting a new way to discuss sex, and you know, all the different problems we might have in discussing gender and sexuality, and I think the show is offering a new, fresh, vibrant way of talking about it.
What's the most common question you get from the fans?
Is that your real dick?
I get, is it really you swimming?
I love how you just moved straight on from that then. It's quite a bombshell I dropped.
That's what you normally get in there.
It is what I normally get, yeah.
See? Is it your real dick?
I'm not answering it.
I think mainly about, like, how hard was it to do that sex scene, or was it, oh my God, was it so scary doing the wanking? All that kind of stuff. It's usually about that content for me, personally.
I get people asking if I still want to have sex.
People ask me what it's like masturbating on camera. I don't think they realise I'm not actually masturbating and that I'm just pretending to, but, you know, let them think that.
What can we expect from the second season?
So the second season is going even further with the honesty and the frankness, and all the characters are going to be revealing completely new facets of themselves, and we're going to get to know them so much better, and it just gets deeper and greater, really.
Well, we've got some new characters who come onto the scene who shake up Moordale a little bit, and my character Otis, he has a girlfriend now, and he's finally collected with himself sexually, so he's taken a few steps, and he's learning things, and yeah, it's exciting.
Like, I'm almost overwhelmed by how much happens. Yeah.
I mean, like, in terms of our characters, like, it's Ola's first day at Moordale at the beginning of the second season, and we meet because Lily is Ola's chaperone. So I think that's pretty exciting because we get to see these two girls and their friendship and how that develops and blossoms as well.
Yeah.
There'll be more awkwardness and more tenderness and gentleness and self-exploration of all characters in the show.
Before this interview, I had to rewatch some of the episodes from the first season, and I saw the first and second episode on the plane. I was a little embarrassed. But are you sometimes embarrassed on the set?
Yeah, sometimes. I've got a pretty thick skin for it now. I think as actors, you have to be good at being embarrassed and not let that kind of throw you off too much, because you have to put yourself out there. It's your body, and you gotta often put yourself in quite revealing or embarrassing situations, but it's a part of it, and we all do our parts as actors in this show in particular to do that, and we kind of knew we would when we signed up for this show. It being called Sex Education, you kind of you know what you're in for.
Yeah, I feel like there's moments where we all cringe, but it's mainly just because the writing's so good and someone says something that's just truly embarrassing. Usually Mr. Hendricks or someone like that. Jim is so good at being... Jim Howick, who plays Mr. Hendricks, he's just so good at being cringy. Like, he's amazing. And that can be a bit like, oh, but it's brilliant. Yeah.